We often hear that sports can heal, that they can turn young boys into men, struggles into triumphs. But when are the struggles too much? Sometimes there seems no limit to what human beings have to overcome.
There has been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union, and the Soviets have admitted that it happened.
Chernobyl. It was the worst nuclear accident in history. A land and a people left in ruins. It's estimated that more than 25,000 died from Chernobyl-related illnesses, and 3 million more are still living with its toxic effects. 18-year-old Alexei Salamone is one of those marked by Chernobyl, but his surroundings could not look more different. He's 5,000 miles away in a house in suburban Buffalo, thanks to Sue and Joe Salamone, who 12 years ago heard about him from a friend who visited a Russian orphanage.
Sue and myself were going to adopt a child. Somebody said, well, we took a trip to Russia and we met this little boy named Alexei.
They were looking for a family to adopt Dale. And I just claimed Dale in my heart.
Sue and Joe learned that Alexei's birth parents had been living in a village near Chernobyl when the nuclear reactor exploded, and they passed down the damage of the radiation when Alexei was born 14 months later. His legs were twisted, useless. Sick themselves, Alexei's parents immediately gave him to an orphanage, and at age 4, doctors amputated below his knees. Alexei doesn't remember the surgery, but he remembers the orphanage.
Really, I mean, if you picture an alleyway, just a scummy alleyway, that's almost what it looked like.
Al said that they had no food a lot of times, and they would sneak down to the kitchen because I guess the kitchen was in the basement of the orphanage where they lived, and they would get food, you know, steal it or whatever they had to do to get along.
If you got caught, you know, you were punished because you didn't have much food in the first place, so it was, I don't know, something you had to do.
Alexei!
For 6 years, Alexei lived at the orphanage. He never had a visitor until Sue arrived to pick him up in 1993.
What was the first thing he said to you?
He said, I love you, okay? One sentence, I love you, okay? So I told him, I love you, okay? I love you, okay? I love you, okay?
Alexei walked out of the orphanage on a primitive pair of wooden prosthetic legs. As soon as the Salamones took him out of Russia, they looked for ways to help their new son. Better prosthetics, better treatment. But with a language barrier and a disability he couldn't hide, he was teased at school and often embarrassed.
One time he brought tears to my eyes because he asked me, he says, this is going to be hard, because he said, hey, Dad, are my legs going to grow back, you know? It's hard. And I had to say, well, no, Al, it ain't going to happen, you know? But you got to be honest, you know what I mean? I said, no, hell, they can't grow back.
There's a lot of kids who would be bitter, who would sit around and say, why did this happen to me? How much did he do that?
Well, I'm sure there was little moments that Al felt sorry, but again, Al is a strong person, probably stronger than I'll ever be. Excuse me. Because, you know, there's nothing that he wouldn't try.
Alexei wanted to try anything that would make him more like other kids, especially sports. When he was 10, the Salamones heard about sled hockey, a form of ice hockey modified for the disabled. Strapped into sleds with blades underneath, players used shortened hockey sticks with picks to maneuver around the ice. In the beginning, Alexei wore his prosthetic legs with shin guards.
How did all the rest of the players look like out on the ice? You know, they had on shin guards. So, sure, am I going to wear shin guards over my metallic leg? Yeah, because I want to look the part.
Alexei just wanted to fit in. But in sled hockey, it's an advantage to play without prosthetics, because it makes the sled more maneuverable. Finally, his coaches and teammates convinced him he was who he was.
When he started playing without his legs, he was like, wow. I mean, he was really flying out there, and I was able to turn a lot better and maneuver a lot better. And so I think, you know, he realized, well, this is it. This is the start of a good career.
Felt weird with, you know, being in a public area without my legs. I always used to, like, kind of hide a little bit. It really wasn't until high school where I kind of found that courage to just let it go.
That newfound courage allowed him to join his high school wrestling team, something that would have previously been unthinkable to him. For the first time, he was competing against able-bodied athletes.
That's when they started noticing that I'm not just a person who walks funny every day, you know. I'm a good athlete, I'm strong, you know, I got physical strength. This is the kid I always made fun of, but look what he's doing now.
Alexei was an outcast no more. This past winter, the kid who'd been left to rot in a Russian orphanage was on the ice in Torino, Italy, wearing a USA jersey, competing with the best in the world in the Paralympic Games, with Alexei as its leading scorer. The team won the bronze medal.
It was a moment I probably will never forget, just because it was my first medal. That really means something to me, that I accomplished, and I just thought about everyone who got me there.
Your emotions are just running away with you because, well, how did he get here? You know, you never expect him to go this far, to excel in anything this far.
In that moment, Alexei's mother says she thought about the wreckage that littered the landscape around Chernobyl. She thought about what might have been, what was instead.
They told me that when I was old enough to leave the orphanage, it only went up to a certain age, and then they would put him in an asylum. That's just unbelievable to me.
Alexei likes to say his life changed because of sports. But sometimes it's not sports that make boys into special young men. It's the young men who make sports special. Sometimes there seems no limit to what human beings can overcome.